Welcome to the Kindness Project, the podcast designed to share stories of kindness and share how kindness can make positive change in our world, one small act at a time.
This week on the Kindness Project, we talk Sprite versus 7-Up, hand-me-downs, and we have part one of our interview with Usha Chudasama.
Welcome, my friends, to another episode of the Kindness Project. I am joined by a gal who loves the totally tropical taste of Lil. It's Charlotte Ames.
I'm joined by a man who has very strong opinions on Sprites. It's Chris Dames.
What do you mean? I haven't got strong opinions on Sprite.
Well, against Sprite.
What have I got
You remember
against Sprite?
I said to you, oh, well, Sprite's nice. You were like, what about 7-Up?
Well, look, basically they're both the same thing, aren't they? They're lemonade.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I just think 7-Up's just funkier. I'm a 7-Up fan. I mean, I've got nothing against Sprite personally. It's not harmed me ever. But why do you keep on looking at my hair?
There's glitter in it.
Yeah, there is glitter in it because it's Easter Monday. We, as is allowed in the UK, had a few people in the garden yesterday, and my daughter thought it'd be funny to put glitter in my hair. So,
His other daughter.
Yeah, not you. I mean,
No.
that would be weird for a 17-year-old to put glitter in their dad's hair. But yeah, so it was good fun. Hope you're doing well. Hope wherever you are in the world, life is slowly getting back to normal, and hope you're feeling pretty good. We're also joined by a man who apparently wears somebody else's corporate clothing. It's Russell Dames.
Hi.
Why are you wearing a Serco jumper?
It come from our old man.
Oh, right, so you're wearing your dad's clothes
Yeah.
as well as corporate clothes. I mean, to be fair, that is a trend in this family.
I'm currently wearing your joggers, so...
Sorry, am I the only one around this table who wears his own clothes exclusively, or what?
I think you are.
Yeah, okay. Well, unofficial question of the podcast, ladies and gentlemen, are hand-me-downs okay?
Well, I've seen you wearing my socks once in a while, when I had socks.
When you had socks, have you got off socks then, or what?
This wasn't a hand-me-down. It was brand new. They give him one too big.
Ah, right, okay. Okay. Is that any better?
Well,
Clearly not. But those tracksuit bottoms look really comfortable. Not that I'd know, because I haven't seen them in about a year. How are they feeling, those?
They're feeling like mine.
Anyway, on that note, let's talk about how people can get in touch with us. Do you want to share that, Charlotte?
Sure. So on Twitter, we're at Honor Kindness. On Facebook, if you type in the search bar the Kindness Project, we should come up. We have an email, honor@thekindnessproject.co.uk. Yeah. I said what I said.
It's with a H.
I said what I said.
Voila.
I said what I said. We have a website, www.thekindnessproject.co.uk.
Yep, that's it.
Yeah.
You're looking doubtful, but that's all right. Go on.
I think I got them all. Facebook, Twitter,
yeah.
website, email.
MySpace?
No, we have to
Insta?
text
Have we got an Insta?
No, we don't have
Why haven't we
Insta.
got an Insta?
I thought we did.
Esteemed producer.
I'm pretty sure we've got an Insta. I'll check.
We do have an
We
Insta.
don't know whether we've got an Insta.
We do have an Insta. I follow us on Insta.
Oh, right,
I'm
okay.
pretty sure we do have an Insta.
Have we got a TikTok?
No, we should.
We could open a Kindness Project TikTok. That'd be a
What
good
would
move.
we even put on there, though?
Just Russ was looking at me like, why are you giving me more work when I need it?
Well, I could do
definitely
it.
least? Anyway, on that note, let's talk about this week's question of the podcast.
Yes.
And today's question of the podcast is, what song do you love to dance to the most? Or what's your go-to dance move? And my go-to dance move is definitely the robot. What's your go-to dance move?
I've been told my robot's pretty epic, yeah.
Epic robot.
Yeah.
So your go-to dance move isn't only the robot, it's the epic robot. Can you just, I know we're on a podcast, but just for mine and Russell's entertainment, can you just please show us your epic robot?
No.
Russ, what's your go-to dance move?
2 left feet.
To their feet. That's a good move.
That's
a
the
good
move.
Is there falling over involved in the two left
Nearly
feet?
falling over.
Right, okay, fair enough. And I realised your go-to karaoke track from last night is definitely I'm too sexy.
Yeah.
I mean, that was amazing, Russ. So, if you'd like to answer, ladies and gents, with your go-to song, go-to dance move, and we might use this for another question in the podcast at a later stage, your go-to karaoke track, that would be shamazing.
What was that? Amazing.
I don't know. We're nearly we're 100 on episodes in. I've got to try and make up some
Spice
new
it
stuff.
up.
Yeah, spice it up a bit. Shamazing is just a word that might.
You're trying to find your own catchphrase.
Yeah, unofficial question of the podcast that we might use in a future week. What would be your unofficial catchphrase? What would yours be?
'Tis the end.
Tis the end. Yeah, exactly. That's it. Your job done. Well, that was amazing. Should we move on with the rest of the show?
I'm not going to be able to put up with you today, am I?
So, what I'd like to do, Charlotte, in a kindness news special, can you do the actual trailer, the actual jingle for kindness news?
Maybe not today. If my nose hurts.
Oh, I'll do it. Kindness news. COVID edition.
Nice.
Okay. So what we've got is a few stories of people during the last year who have lifted their spirits during this period, and it came off the back of a lady called Anne Doble, who listened to 300 vinyl records and shared it online, and that prompted emails from people explaining how they lifted their spirits over the last year. And over the course of the next few weeks, I'm just going to be sharing some of those amazing stories. And the first one is transcribing my mum's diary. There's a lady called Fiona Heakin who found her mum's 5 diaries in a loft, and she wrote those diaries as a teenager. Fiona said, I'd seen them before, but the writing is so small, usually in pencil, that I didn't have the patience to read them all properly. My kids urged me to do something with these diaries, and I felt I had to, or all of those memories or intensely lived experiences would be forgotten forever. Now, we've spoken on that about the podcast before, haven't we? Because I think, interestingly, what we do is recording stuff that's going on in our lives. But we've interviewed people on the Kindness Project before who do work making sure that stories aren't forgotten, particularly around families. So the fact that Fiona had her mum's diaries is amazing. So she felt, she had to record it. So she began to transcribe these handwritten diaries. I loved it, Fiona said, when she had a good time. It made me feel so happy that she'd had these nights of fun, of dancing with mysterious boys, usually referred to as an initial dance with O or dance with F. All of a sudden I felt like I had this 17-year-old friend who was also my mum. Wow, what they had to put up with was amazing. The day after the Manchester Blitz, she writes, my 20th birthday. But what most struck me was the joy. They didn't let the war get in the way, and despite Manchester getting really badly bombed, my mum went to the cinema 58 times in 1940. That's more than 2020. It resonated with what's going on now, that even in lockdown, you can still get joy from such things. And I suppose you can learn lessons from history, can't you? What do you think?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I haven't been to the cinema once this year, or last year. I went a couple of times the year before, though. I quite like the cinema.
Yeah, so do I. But also, it's, I suppose, even in time, I mean, I think the point that it's making is even in times of adversity and when you're going through tough things, you've just got to find whatever you can to try and start to stick and positive. And being able to hear that from your mum, from something that was written 80 years ago, is quite an incredible thing, isn't it? What do you reckon?
Yeah, I think it's really exciting to try and, see that stuff that happened. History does repeat itself, but not always for the negative, because we can learn from the past. Like, she's learning about her mother and how she coped with, the bombings and all that.
Yeah. And what an amazing legacy that she can pass on to her kids.
Yeah.
about the stories of the past. I love that story. We're going to carry on doing that over the next few weeks. Sharing stories of adversity during lockdown. And next week, and I'll throw a little teaser in there, we're going to be talking about the dancing accountant. How do you feel about that?
It's funny.
Yeah, it's like the really badly singing financial planner, which
Okay,
you
your
experienced
karaoke
yesterday.
night?
Yeah, exactly. And on that note, should we get on with the show?
Yes.
So this week on the Kindness Project, we've got a super special guest, Usha Chudasama. She's an amazing coach, and she does loads of work with parents and kids, just helping people become better parents. So in our interview, we talk about the importance of kindness in the parenting relationship, the things that we can learn in parents. Certainly I've learned a lot during lockdown about how to be a good parent, but also some of my failings as a parent, and what we can do to potentially improve. How does that sound?
Sounds good. I remember this interview.
Yeah, it was a good one.
It was a good one.
Yeah.
Usha and Lena, thanks for joining us on the Kindness Project.
Did you almost forget what the podcast was called?
You know what the problem is? Life is like compartmentalised into a bunch of different places. I sometimes during the day forget what job I'm doing. Do you?
Yeah. I don't have that much trouble. I only do four different lessons.
So yes, we are on the Kindness Project. We are talking about kindness. Otherwise, it would be strange that you're here because you this is the only project we do together. But we are talking about kindness. We are. This is a first for the Kindness Project. So we've interviewed people all around the world. We've never interviewed a fellow parent-daughter before. So welcome.
That's
No, you know what? We have the guys who run kindness.org. We had the one was in LA and one was in New York, wasn't they? So we did that
I
one.
do remember that.
Okay, cool. So our audience can understand a little bit about you guys. Tell us who you are.
Yes, I'm Usha. He thinks we're the same person.
Now this is hold on. Let's just go. We might have got hesitated on the name of our podcast, but we didn't get our names wrong. That's pretty much locked in.
I do. Sometimes it is difficult to remember my own name.
Okay, Usha and Lena, either one.
Do you know what? I just wanted you to feel better, you know.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
It was all about that, yeah. I don't have senior moments at all. So anyway, so no, I'm Usha. So I'm the founder of Healing Feeling. It transforms lives through training and therapy. And really, I set this up to empower parents to raise happy children. And you know, it's all done through preventative mental health techniques. This is my daughter, Lena.
Hi, guys. Yes, I'm Lena. So in my day job, I train salespeople, but I also support Mum in the business. I basically joined her because I believe in the message, the mental health message. And it just came to a point where it would be good to work together because obviously, as you know, it's more fun to do things together rather than by yourself.
With your kids.
Yeah.
And help me understand a little bit about how prominent that message has become, particularly in 2020.
Oh, hugely. I mean, 2020, since lockdown began, we've had so many parents call us because their children have showed like Jekyll and Hyde kind of characters. You know, one minute they're fine, next minute they're really aggressive or angry. Obviously, there's been quite a few deaths in the year. I mean, personally, we've
had a lot in the family.
We've had lots and we've experienced them, but also so many other people have as well. And I've seen so many people ask, you know, how do I, as a parent, how do I tell my 5-year-old, how do I tell my 6-year-old that this person's died. And so, that's been a big thing. And
It's
also
a difficult conversation, isn't it?
Yeah.
anxiety has been very, very prominent. Depression, people have lost businesses, they've lost their livelihoods, and we're so confused, aren't we, with whether we're tier 1 or tier 2, or how long this is going to last. So the uncertainty of it all. So this year, definitely mental health has been high on the agenda for a lot of people.
It's interesting because you talk about that emotional roller coaster. I know that you've been through it this year, haven't you? But I don't think it's only the kid, like to younger people. I think it's adults as well. Do you know what I mean? Certainly, as a family and business, we've been affected a lot less than most people. But you still have those days where it can be tough.
Yeah. I mean, as a business, I'm a small business. I'm a one-person fat. Well, 2 people. But in terms of the mental health, I do that bit. But we have seen a dip. When we had the first lockdown, we had a real dip because people didn't want to. We couldn't meet. And although I offered the online, a lot of people didn't want to do that because it loses that contact, the connection, doesn't it? However, a positive for me was that I could, I had to do online training. So I got some specific online training to do psychotherapy online because I didn't have that. And so now I can actually connect with people online as well. So, but it has become busy since the second lockdown. Yeah.
You've got a question?
Oh, yeah. I'm just looking at the list of questions now. So what inspired you to start Healing Feeling? I got that the right way around, or am I?
Yeah, it is Healing Feeling, isn't it?
Yeah.
It is healing.
I have that written down in all the questions.
Not,
so if it's
not
wrong,
Feeling Healing. That'd be a different kind of business.
Well, it's interesting.
That's cringe for your dad to say. Isn't it?
I know. What kind of a show is this?
I know. We're 3 years in, Usha. We're still trying to work it out.
Some of the jokes we make on here just out of like tiredness.
Yeah. We haven't got that excuse today, have we?
No, it's just kind of jokey, I think.
Yeah. So tell us a bit about the inspiration behind the Healing Feeling.
Yeah. Really, what inspired me was actually when I had her. So I think there's a motherly instinct when you hold your baby for the first time. It's like you just want the world to be right for them, and literally, it was I told myself, okay, I'm going to make her world better than mine was. I had in my past, I'd suffered a lot of bullying when I was a teenager. I came to this country when I was 8 years old. I couldn't speak English. There was all of these unwritten rules, social rules. I didn't get it. So I didn't fit in, basically. And when I had her, I just thought, I'm not going to have her going through the same sort of issues that I went through. And it was when she was 5 years old that I decided, because I was home for 5 years with her, and then when she had to go to nursery, I decided to train myself as a teacher. So as a mature student, I was going out. It was really hard because obviously dropping off to childminders and dropping off to nursery. And it was a lot of
and
work.
Doing a degree at the same time.
Yeah, doing a degree at the same time wasn't easy. So the Healing Feeling the inspiration was to make it a better world for Lena, really.
I think that's an amazing aspiration to do, and certainly,
absolutely.
I think the motivation behind what you do changes when you become a parent, doesn't it? I think.
Yeah.
Certainly your perspective on life changes because you're now responsible for this not so small not so small anymore, the other one's a little bit smaller but not so small anymore, human being, and you've become a role model and you want to make the world a better place, right?
Exactly. And as a teacher later on, I learned that all of our issues and things, all our belief systems start from when we're children. And I did have a bit of a breakdown. I had ME when I was a teacher. So ME is all like chronic fatigue. It's a stress related illness. And I was in bed literally for a year. And it was through that I learned that actually everything, all your belief systems start from childhood, and your thoughts create your reality. And I'm thinking, how did I create this? And so the second inspiration came when I just thought, I'm determined to undo this. And when I did eventually go back to school, I did start to work with the children in my care. So I started to help them to be start from the inside out, get better grounding. I actually tested a lot of the materials out on Lena. So maybe you might want to say something about, the kind of work we did together.
So before I do that, I'd love to hear about that. Before I do that, let me ask one question.
Yeah.
Do you think that to build a kinder world, we need to be kinder to ourselves?
It starts from the inside. It starts from being kind to yourself. And, the kind of children I was working with were the ones that were abused. Okay, so they were abused. They were not treated well. They were neglected. So the way that these kind of things showed up in the classroom or in school was bad behavior. Children running out of class, not engaging in the lessons, not concentrating. But as a teacher, you just want them to behave or do. Yeah, but as a as a teacher who believed in starting with yourself and being kind to yourself, I started doing after school clubs, teaching the kids
based around positive psychology and helping them.
Absolutely. At that time, I didn't know it was psychology. I just thought, okay, this worked for me. And I just adapted what I learned for children. And it was working for them too. And the kinds of things we did was about finding friendship buddies, was about understanding how other people think and feel, smiling. These are for children, these are the small acts of kindness. And also we did activities like do a kind thing for another person without telling them. And then we would discuss that. So we'd have a circle time.
The amount of research that says that being kind to others actually supports your own mental health is there's a really good book called The 5 Side Effects of Kindness by a guy called David. I talk about this book all the time, don't I? Yeah. By a guy called David Hamilton that says, about the and we've interviewed him on the podcast about the chemical reactions that happen when you're connected. And there's another one, and it's not really related to kindness, but it's one called Happy Money, and it's based on how to spend your money to improve your own well-being. And one of the things that it recommends is give your money away. So it did an experiment where they gave people a Starbucks card and said, you can spend it on you or you can give it away. Yeah. And the ones who gave it away were demonstrably happier than the ones who spent it on themselves. And it's understanding that kindness is like a way to make yourself a more positive, forward-thinking person, isn't it?
Absolutely. It's what you're talking about is the paying it forward. Pay it forward. Yeah. And paying it forward. We're both Hindus, and I wouldn't say that I'm 100% very religious. I'm more spiritual, but something that we do is, we give to charity. So especially around Christmas time or especially around Diwali time, we give to charity. That's our way of, giving back. And I think it does start with when you serve others, it actually serves you. So whether it's money or whether it's acts of kindness or even just saying something kind, like you said, 2020 has been a really difficult year for a lot of people. And my podcasts also talk about, my Facebook lives also talk
We
about.
want to develop into a podcast.
Sorry.
That's why she said
Yeah,
that.
sorry.
So this might be an exclusive, mightn't it? So are you launching a podcast?
I'm thinking of talking about. Yeah, yes, we are going to in the new year. This year.
Yeah.
Oh, good. Great stuff. You want to ask another question?
Oh, yes. How far are we down
3.
the list? We've done 3.
No, we haven't.
Oh, okay.
So tell us a little bit about the business. Tell us a little bit about how Healing Feeling
We've done
works.
3.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, there's a few different areas of healing feelings. So one part is working with adults and children in therapy, so one-to-one actual psychotherapy. So Mum can talk about the kinds of clients in a second. Then she also does parent coaching. So that's focusing on helping parents with specific challenges they might have with their children. So they might say things like, my child's not listening to me, or they're feeling anxious, I don't know how to help them, or they have exam stress and we just need some support on how to manage that. So then Mum will coach them.
Yeah, but actually it goes a little bit deeper as well. But that's probably what she knows. But sometimes, when I'm working with young children, I've already mentioned some of the behaviors that show up, but a lot of times I'm also working with children that recently bereavement, where somebody's actually seen one of their classmates commit suicide. I've seen children who've been groomed. I've seen children who've got anxiety, and so or they are going through some kind of rehab. And the problem is that when children are going through that, parents are also going through that, if that makes sense, or they don't know how to deal with their children who are going through that. So my parent coaching is teaching them the science of parenting, but it's also looking at what their children are going through, what is that triggering in them, and then dealing with their unresolved stuff. So it's
interesting, isn't it? It's sort of, I think one of the things that I always think about parenting is it's that job that gets. Don't worry, you can relax. I'm not going to say anything too bad. It's one of those jobs that you get sort of thrust into without any guidance. It's just one of those things where you sort of learn. Is that all right? Am I allowed to say that? There's sort of that.
You never know what's going to come out your mouth.
That's true. It's one of those jobs where you think I know in the nearly 17 years I've been a dad, I've failed, I've got it wrong, I'm always learning. I sometimes think I get it right when I get it wrong. And it's one of those jobs where you every time you think that you're doing something pretty decently, the landscape changes because the relationship dynamics change. And it's a difficult job, isn't it?
It's not easy. And basically, believe me, I'm not perfect either. I've been a teacher and I've shouted at kids. I've been angry at kids. But until I learned, obviously then I changed. And also as a parent, I'm sure that I've done things that Lena can tell us about.
Lena, you're being suspiciously quiet right now.
But she was an easy kid, I must admit. Maybe because everything I was doing, I was testing out on her when she was little as it was, She's my only child as well, so I think it makes it easier.
So we've got 2. Charlotte is the older one, and I think you're the one that's less boisterous, aren't you? But yeah,
I'd like to just sit and read for the rest of my life and never see the sun again. But we've got to make sacrifices.
Yeah,
sometimes.
you got to go out every now and again, haven't you? So I know you wrote an ebook that's recently been published. Tell us a bit about that.
Well, actually, it's not an ebook. It's actually a book.
A real life book.
Yeah, it is a live book. Your Happy Child, 10 Proven Steps to Raising a Happy Child. And actually, that book, I wrote that, I said to you, I was working with some children, right? After school club. One time I took the children out in the playground. One parent stayed back and she said, I just want to say thank you. She gave me a little gold pendant, this is Indian gold. It's not cheap. So I was really taken aback. I couldn't take it. Anyway, she said, the work that you've done with my son has helped my whole family, because he used to come home and teach all of us. And she said, we're communicating better as a family. We're meditating together. We're much more kinder to each other, even verbally as well as actions. And the book is basically all the things that I used to teach in the after school club. And when that parent came up to me, I thought, do you know what? I was you 10 years ago.
Yeah, gotcha.
And, loads of parents need this support. And I thought, you know what? Internally, I just promised myself I'm going to write a book.
Amazing.
And literally, this book is for any parent who's going through what I went through, what she went through.
Yeah. Give us an overview of some of the tips you share in the book.
Oh, yeah, it's a holistic book, right? So it kind of lays the foundations for building resilience. So for that, I mean, it's how do children learn to be kind to themselves? That's the beginning thing. How do you learn to relax? Because today, kids are a lot more stressed than I used to be when I was growing up. So it's how do you learn to relax? And then the anxiety bit is, what's going on in your brain? How does your brain work? And then what kind of negative messages are they feeling or getting? And how do you flip switch them? And then it looks at parenting guilt. There's a whole section in there of parenting guilt, but it also looks at how do you deal with your emotions? And the book is kind of formatted in a way that I do. Every chapter has got one bit about the psychology of why what I do is working, and then it's a lesson plan that parents can follow. So you with the scripts and everything. So and the resources that they need are things like pencil, paper, colouring pencils, things like that. Things that
you couldn't tell who she used to be a teacher much.
I know.
I mean, come on. There's a lesson plan in there.
Easy.
Plus the resources
Every
you
good
need.
life moment needs a lesson plan. Every good life moment needs some kind of structure.
It does. It needs a format. That's good. So it sounds like a very practical book in its nature.
Very practical. It's on Amazon, and there's loads of 5-star reviews. I still get people who've not put a review, but they say, look, I followed your book and I did this bit, because you can dip into it. You don't have to go through it from lesson 1 to 10, but so they say, I tried that lesson and my child was angry, and I did the thermometer exercise, helping them to calm down, and it really worked, and it really works.
Yeah. And she's being a bit modest, like it's an Amazon bestseller as well.
Amazon bestseller. That's better than my book. I mean, my book
flopped.
My book. My book was a book about pensions, available in no good bookshops, right? Nowhere. You can't get it on Amazon. It's very niche in its market. It's a very niche
Very
book.
niche.
And it was weird, because we wrote it as a bit of a business card to showcase our knowledge as professionals, and that it did its job in terms of that.
Yeah.
But clearly it wasn't a bestseller. So well done for getting to that exalted status. That's amazing stuff. You got another question?
Okay, I'm gonna skip 5 and 6 because we've pretty much already covered them. 7. Here we go. What has been the best moment you've had since the start of Healing Feeling?
Okay.
Lots.
I can't pinpoint it down to one. I think.
Okay, so what's your favourite? What's the story that best describes the work you do?
Penny dropping moments, let's just say. So it's like when a person comes into my therapy room and they have got lots of problems, it's like a ball of wool, loads of balls of wool, all tangled up. And then throughout time, you unpick it, and then there comes a moment when they realize, oh, that's what it is. And they get to the crux of it. And when they get to the crux of it, their life just expands. It's like that cog, that tiny cog that starts the machinery off again, and their life changes. And in a matter of like hours, their life has changed. And the thing is, right at the beginning, they don't believe that it's ever going to change. So it's the penny dropping moments, I would say.
But then this is an interesting subject, isn't it? How they need to be ready for that experience, don't they?
Yeah,
so how do you make sure that you're there? At what point are they coming to you when they know they're ready? What's happened in their lives that means that they're ready to talk about it?
Well, a lot of times it's they realize their life isn't working. So either they realize that I'm constantly finding the same person, it's like a different person, but the relationship's different, but it's the same thing going around in circles. Or they've had a breakdown, they've had a bereavement, they've got the anxiety, and they're getting the symptoms like crying too much at the drop of a hat. I don't understand. All these years I've been able to shoulder it, and now I can't. Behavior, their behavior changes. They don't want to go out so much. They withdraw themselves, or they become a little bit extrovert. It can happen either way. They can become their personality changes. There's lots and lots of different symptoms, if you like. They can't. They just basically can't move forward. And a question that sometimes people are going through this, but they're in denial. So they don't. Everybody else can see that this person needs support because. Recently I came across somebody, who's hearing voices, and they're really hardworking people, but they're hearing voices. They can't get on. They're constantly anxious. The kids are needing her support, and she's just in denial because she comes from a culture where, you don't ask for help. It's embarrassing to ask for help. And I would say to those people, that there is help. I mean, for example, when Harry and William talked about the Heads Together campaign and almost brought 100%, mental health out in the open, it's allowed people to talk about mental health more, which I think is a really good thing.
What do you think of that? Do you think that talking about mental health more is
I think
do you think it's moved forward, or?
I think it's moved forward, but it does need to go further because there are still some people that think that they can't talk about their mental health.
Yeah.
I think anyone not being able to talk about their mental health kind of puts us all back.
Yeah.
And at this point in time, there are still whole groups of people that feel like they can't say something when they're hurting.
Yeah. Well, what would you do to change that?
I have no idea.
No,
I just think it needs to.
So that was part one of our interview with Usha. We've got part two coming up next week. Shall we get on with the end of the show?
Let's do it.
Let's do it. Would you like to do the little jingle you've got?
It's not a jingle, it's basically just me shouting.
Go on and do it.
'Tis the end of another podcast.
Yeah, your voice is a bit graggly today, isn't it?
Yeah.
Are we feeling a little bit under the weather or not?
I can't smell anything because my nose is completely plugged.
Plugged?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, hopefully these answers to unpopular opinions will make you feel a little bit better.
Unplug my nose?
Maybe. So, again, last week's version of the podcast, because the end is never really the end, is it? The end is only the beginning of a opportunity for us to share the answers that we've been told of last week's question of the podcast this week. So
nice.
I'm gonna tell you a little bit about them, because last week my question was, what's your unpopular opinion? Now, my unpopular opinions are any fruit that is like you've got to make an effort with just isn't worth the effort. I don't think Star Wars is all that. And actually, I quite like the last series of Game of Thrones. What was your unpopular opinion, Russ?
I don't have any unpopular opinions. I don't think.
Thanks for getting involved. What's your unpopular opinion, Charlotte?
I don't like prawn cocktail crisps. They're vile.
It's a good one. And we've got a few good ones from our audience. Dan Gelotta said, I think Liverpool's been the best team this season. Clearly not that, but like your unpopular opinion. Eve Keith said, Die Hard isn't a Christmas film. Patrick Floyd had an interesting one. He said comic book movies, particularly DC and Marvel, are homoerotic nonsense for imbeciles and preteen boys. I mean,
That's a bit strong.
I know, he's hitting it hard, isn't he? Al McCann said the general middle income population don't pay enough tax, so should stop complaining about government run services and lack of funding. Okay, interesting. This is getting strong. I mean, we are venturing away from the light nature of the Kindness Project. John Cook said, my most unpopular opinion is that the vast majority of unpopular opinions aren't actually that unpopular.
I mean, there's always someone out there that's going to agree with you.
Yeah. Noel Ranson's, I mean, we went strong. We're getting stronger. Noel Ranson's just gone, Marmite. Need I say more?
You either love it or you hate it.
Are you a lover or a hater?
I'm a lover.
I'm a hater. Are you a lover or a hater?
I like Marmite.
You sicken me.
That's 3-2 split.
Barry Harding, his most unpopular opinion is that he's a good dancer. Now, I don't think it matters whether you're a good dancer or not, because dancing is just an expression, isn't it?
It's just body wiggling.
But they should rename it body wiggling. Jade Foster Jarrett said, my most unpopular opinion is I believe Coldplay are musical geniuses.
I quite like Coldplay.
I quite like Coldplay. How are you feeling about Coldplay?
I don't listen.
He's ambivalent about Coldplay.
Okay. Not a Coldplay fan. Caroline Thompson, getting in the Marmite debate, said Marmite and peanut butter are the devil's food.
No.
Definitely not peanut butter.
I thought the devil liked chili peppers.
Maybe. I can see the devil sort of tucking into a bit of peanut butter. Sam Chilton said E.T. is the most horrific, traumatising movie
What
ever
was his
made.
face? It was so wrinkled. Why did you have to be such a wrinkly baby?
I mean, I can imagine watching E.T. as a kid and being quite scared, to be honest.
I've never watched E.T., so...
Now, I'm sure I've seen it years ago, but I don't know, I haven't seen it recently.
I couldn't tell you. Obviously, I know what happens. The boy goes off in the
E.T.
basket because you see it in the telly.
Yeah, he abducts the kid.
Yeah, but...
No, it doesn't. I know he wants to phone home.
Yeah.
I mean, nowadays you can make E.T. because like the kid will have a mobile and he'd just give him the mobile, wouldn't he? And he'd be able to phone home. Fiona Mapurgo, very controversial opinion. Baked beans taste like sewage. I love a baked bean.
Right.
I love a baked bean.
I agree with that. Can't stand baked beans.
Genuinely, you're not a baked bean
Terrible.
fan.
Absolutely terrible.
Hold on, why are baked beans terrible?
That and cheese, just...
Cheese? Cheese and baked beans? What have you got against cheese and baked beans?
The thing is, when I first read that message, I read baked beans taste like sausage. And all I could think about was, you know, those tins of baked beans with the little sausages inside.
Yes. Yes. Get them in my life and in my mouth right now.
The strange thing is, though, I don't mind hoops, like there's hoops in tomato sauce.
Right.
But
Scapes.
I don't like haricot beans. I don't like the texture or the flavour.
Right. Well, look.
They taste the same.
Let's all agree, apart from Russell, that baked beans are good, and Fiona, and let's all agree that spaghetti hoops are nothing like spaghetti, are they?
I love spaghetti hoops.
Oh God.
Don't be dissing spaghetti hoops.
Ellie Thomas said ketchup. This is her unpopular opinion. Is a crime. It's a crime. I mean, the reality is, right. I mean, how can you feel so strongly about E.T. and ketchup?
I ain't even digging my toe in that one because...
You're digging your toe.
I don't have ketchup at all.
I'm a mayonnaise person,
Can't
but I don't
stand
mind
it.
ketchup.
Okay, what are you going to do tomorrow morning when I do you a baked bean and ketchup breakfast? I don't know. Chris Aycock said the Boomtown Rats were wrong. there's nothing bad about Monday.
I quite like
Right.
I
Monday.
don't mind Mondays. I quite like Mondays as well. Mike Christie said burpees are fun. Definitely an unpopular
I
opinion.
can't do them without flopping on my face, so
Well, I normally do. But as long as you get back up again, that's fine. And Kelly Barker said, sorry, but coffee, I don't like the smell, so I've never tried it. I mean, what is going on with that opinion?
Let me tell you what's going on with it. She's never tried it. So
Sorry, just to give you a bit of context, listeners, Kelly is Russel's partner.
I'm always saying to her, give the coffee a go. No.
Are you trying to force feed your girlfriend coffee?
No.
Why are you doing that?
So
She's never tried it.
she was the same with sushi. I couldn't have sushi, raw fish. I said to her, just try a bit. Now she loves it.
Exactly. She might love a coffee.
Yeah,
This is what
coffee
you,
is just baked beans.
it just makes no sense.
this is what you do, Russ. Get some sushi and go, here's a sauce that
Yeah.
you... this is sushi's special sushi sauce. She's got to dip the
Oh,
sushi
that
in the
reminds
coffee.
What?
That reminds me of a video I see on TikTok where the geese have got a nice cake, like a brownie cake, and then covered it in red hot sauce.
One conversation I want to have on the next episode, is it right to dip bread in tea? We'll save that for another time.
No!
And on that
That's not a
note,
discussion we're having. No.
and on that note, we are going to go. Have a lovely week. Hope you had a lovely Easter, and we'll see you next time on the Kindness Project.
Bye.